So I've had the Ricoh GRIIIx for about 2 weeks now, and I thought I would come on here and give you guys my honest take on my initial impressions and my experiences with it so far. Because before buying this camera, I spent hours and hours here on YouTube watching reviews, listening to people's takes on the pros and cons, reading Reddit posts and blogs, and then ultimately coming away with the biggest question of them all: should I get the 28mm or the 40mm? So hopefully this video can help you. First of all, the thing that you're going to notice with this is the size compared to something else like this, the Sigma 1835 attached to the Canon 200D. This is the Ricoh GRIIIx in comparison with that, and you can see the sheer monstrous size of the Sigma 1835 and Canon combo compared to the little Ricoh there. That makes a huge difference in terms of being able to just carry one of those around with you every day, and the burden that would be required for you to carry something like that around with you every day compared to the little Ricoh. When I'm going out shooting with this, it feels like a much more intentional process. I need to make a lot more considerations because of the size and weight of it, and I also know that if I pull this out in public, people for sure are going to be looking at me while I'm taking those photographs. Whereas if I pull this out in public, not a lot of people are going to notice, and people won't really care that much, meaning I'm far more comfortable in my shoes, and I'm actually going to be willing to take shots when they become available. With regards to the build quality of this thing, it feels sturdy. It's a metal frame. You can tell that as soon as you take it out of the box, because the wee metal frame is cool to the touch, which was actually quite satisfying. And also the weight of it is pretty reassuring. Like, it doesn't feel like you're picking up a wee toy, and it also doesn't feel like you're going to be carrying a brick around with you all day. With that being said, there are a few things on this camera that every time I pick it up, they annoy me, and those being this little plastic wheel on the back and this little plastic dial here on the back as well. You can tell that those are plastic. They feel flimsy, they don't feel super responsive when you're using them, and it doesn't feel as if there's a lot of purchase, particularly with this little wheel here. It feels like your finger is sometimes getting it to move, and then sometimes your finger's just sliding over the top of it. It's just not a very satisfying process to use both of those. Also, on the front side of the camera, this little lens ring here, I don't know if you can hear that, but there's give in that moves around a little bit. Even if you tighten up that little screw there, I don't know if you can see, there's still a little bit of give in it, and you can actually take the little lens ring off with a quarter turn, and it allows you to mount on different adapters and things like that. However, that little bit of give is not really reassuring, and that's one of the things that can occasionally bug you. That you can forget about for the most part. What you do notice is these wee plastic dials on the back. Now, I don't know if that was a decision due to the function, or if that was to try and keep the weight down, or whatever the decision was made for. What I do know is that every time I use the camera, both of those little features annoy the hell out of me. Now, I'm not going to go on about the dust or the weather sealing or anything like that. However, one other thing that not a lot of other people did mention on the videos I saw is the little leaf shutters here. Those feel like they're made of paper, so they're not very reassuring, and honestly I don't think they would do much of anything to protect the lens. So I went out and I bought this, which is a little metal lens protector that just pops over the top, and anytime the camera's not in use, that goes over the top of that. It doesn't really add anything to the size of the camera, and it makes me far more confident that I'm not going to be damaging the lens when it's in my bag or when it's in my pocket, so that makes a big difference for me there. One of the things that people spoke about when I was looking up reviews was the battery life, and people were saying that it's very poor battery life, they don't last long, and they're right. I've found it to be true. When I'm using the camera, I turn it off and on in between times when I'm using it. However, when I've got it on, I end up taking quite a lot of shots. So when I've been taking that out, I've been out for maybe 2 hours at a time, and at the end of that 2 hours, I need to recharge the battery again. I'm down to like the last bar, and the last bar's blinking and letting me know, hey, you need to recharge. I've not had to actually swap out the batteries when I've been out as of yet, but it has drained, really quite quickly, especially compared to this DSLR camera. There is a noticeable difference, so if you are going to go get one of these, definitely get spare batteries, particularly if you, like me, you're pretty trigger happy. In terms of the autofocus on this, when you're in a well-lit or reasonably well-lit situation, it works pretty fast, it's pretty accurate, and it does a good job. However, when you're in a low-lit situation, it's not great. It's hunting constantly, and when it picks something up, typically it's not the thing that you wanted it to pick up. So you're left in a situation where you have to either tap the back of the screen on the thing that you want it to focus on, or you're left using snap distance priority or snap focus in order to get the shot in focus, which is fine. You're going to have to absorb that blow if you're looking to use this camera. There are pros and cons to it, as you will have learned having watched all of those different videos and reading all of those different reviews. It is one of the things that you're going to have to take into consideration. Now, knowing that the autofocus isn't great in low light, what I would caveat that with is when you get a shot in focus in low light, the actual image itself is really, really nice. The image quality overall from this camera is fantastic. I really, really like the contrast of the images, and I also like the colours that this produces as well. The photos are super, super sharp from it, and the level of contrast that you get from it as well, they make the photos have that very cinematic look, and I actually enjoy the images that I get out of this camera more than I get out of this combo here. And this lens, the Sigma 1835 Art, is renowned for being super sharp and producing really nice colours as well. I prefer the images that I get out of this camera compared to that combination there. With regards to the settings and customization options, you can pretty much set this wee camera up however you want to suit your own preferences. What's nice is you have the option for 3 basically user profiles there in the mode dial, where you can have a range of settings all set in place, and all you have to do is click between them and it will automatically change all of those for you. So you might have something set up for daytime shooting, nighttime shooting, and then the third one set up so that you can get motion blur for traffic and things like that. As well as that, you can also set up different functions for all of the buttons that are available here too. I personally keep it on aperture priority on the mode dial, and then I have switched that button there to allow me to switch between snap distance priority and aperture priority, and it's really, really quick. I can just switch between the two of them based on the situation that I'm in, and it allows me to focus on getting the shot rather than tinkering about with the dials. The IBIS on this, the in-body image stabilisation, has been really nice. It's allowed me to shoot at much slower speeds than I typically would and still have a nice in-focus image with some nice smooth motion blur. It also allows for some correction in terms of the horizon. So you'll see there is a little level on the bottom of the screen when you're using this camera, and it will tell you if your horizon's level, and if it isn't, the IBIS in this will help to auto correct that. It gives you, it's not a ton, but what it does is allows you to get nice clean straight photographs without you having to go through the process of keeping it entirely straight before taking the shot as well, and it's just a nice little nudge in the right direction. So for me personally, by the time I had, watched all of the YouTube reviews and read all of the different blog posts and stuff about this wee camera, I was willing to accept the cons that would come along with the pros of having access to this wee thing. And the only big question left for me then was, do I get the 28mm or do I get the 40mm? And obviously I decided to go with the 40mm. So now the big question is, am I happy with my decision? And the answer to that is yes. I am very, very happy that I went with the 40mm over the 28mm. There have been very, very few circumstances where I've thought that I would want a wider focal length, and in fact there have been more circumstances where I would have liked to be able to get in closer without giving up megapixels by cropping in using the crop function. I've been loving using this wee camera so far, and despite the hefty price tag that comes along with it, I don't have any buyer's remorse. I'm very, very happy that I picked it up. I've been far more proactive now that I've picked this up than I have been in the last 3 years using the DSLR there. This has made me start looking for more photo opportunities. I'm looking for frames, I'm looking for leading lines, I'm looking for different shots constantly. It's making me want to continue practicing photography, and that can only be a good thing. I'm going to post a few of my favourite images that I've been able to capture with this wee camera so far just at the end of this video here, and I would love to hear your feedback on them, so just drop that down in the comment section below. Obviously this is the first video that I've created for this channel, so if you've made it this far and you've found value in the things that we spoke about today, please consider giving this video a wee like, and if you would like to keep up to date with my own photography journey, please consider giving the channel a subscribe too. Hopefully see you next time.